No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show, a history-making night in downtown Winnipeg as Connor Hellebuyck puts the Winnipeg Jets on his shoulders as only he can, delivering the victory and the 300th victory of his illustrious career as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. Along with Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss tonight's victory. The Jets victorious 5-2 over the Nashville Predators. They end the 3-game losing streak. They get back into the winning side of the ledger. But of course, everybody's breath is being held until we find out more about the status of Josh Morrissey. Scott Arneal will be joining us from the Matt Frost Media Center coming up here momentarily on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now. And hopefully as soon as he does, we'll have an update on Josh Morrissey. Dave, good evening. I don't know if the people in the crowd can see you. I still just see a black screen, but let's go on and assume that everyone else can see you.
We haven't heard anything otherwise to the contrary, Drew. So, I mean, it's very unusual that you can, I'm black. I'm the black screen of death, or it's the blue screen of death, but in this instance, we'll call it the black screen of death. So either you're seeing my pretty face, as my mom would say, or,
everybody
you're just
else
hearing
you. Apparently it's just me. I finally I've achieved what I've wanted to achieve.
Yeah, let's be realistic, Drew. It's not because you can't see, you just choose not to see me. But
my eyes are closed. That's the problem.
Yeah, for years I would claim you don't hear me, but now I'm claiming in addition to that you can't see me. But
yes.
Look, the one thing we can't see is that this Jets team, the penalty kill specifically, since they took a season high 7 penalties in the game, some earned, some questionable, but ultimately at the end of the day, you still have to kill them regardless of whether you like them or not. You don't get to decline them if you don't like the penalties. And yeah, Drew, there's no question. The biggest question mark coming out of this game will be, of course, the health of Josh Morrissey. I'm going to put this in the camp of I'm not super concerned. And the reason I say that is because we were watching it. I was going to jokingly say it's called tunnel watch because of where we sit in the press box. We see right down the Jets tunnel to their room, not right into their room, but you can see the tunnel. So I could see Josh Morrissey. I could see the team doctors. You could see him we thought it was him, and presumably he was the only skater who was missing. So we knew that he was in the tunnel still after he had left the first time, came back out, tested it out, played one shift, and then left. And I suspect it's precautionary. Again, I could be wrong. I saw the replay, with Mark Scheifele and him colliding and him ending up hitting Connor Hellebuyck's post pretty hard. Mm-hmm. But, again, like I said, you never know. And I mean, it could be bad. I'm not saying otherwise, but
it's always to me a little bit ominous when they come back, they try it for one shift, and then they realize that they're not able to go. And I think you saw on that shift, as he was skating off the ice, he was grimacing, and that. Pardon me as I sneeze at an inopportune time. That to me is certainly a level of concern. It'll be a high level of concern for Winnipeg Jets fans until they know the status of Josh Morrissey. Of course, we'll bring you that news here on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now. Just when it looked like the Jets might have been getting a little bit healthier on the back end, Morrissey suffers this injury as Dylan Samberg is certainly getting closer and closer to returning. But nonetheless, obviously time will tell what is going to happen on that front with regard to Josh Morrissey. But as we delve into tonight's game, we've seen Connor Hellebuyck carry this team on his shoulders so many times before that it's almost fitting that he did it tonight for his 300th game because it's actually happening fewer and fewer times as he gets closer to 300. The Jets team has been a better team over the last couple of years, not solely reliant on Connor Hellebuyck, but tonight was one of those nights, especially once Morrissey goes out, that the Jets have Connor Hellebuyck every other team doesn't. And tonight was a reminder of the impact of that happening.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Big and boring was beautiful. I would imagine that's the triple B for folks in Winnipeg. And look, 37 after the game was chatting with Sarah, and he was talking about how much energy they got from the crowd. And it was a good crowd tonight, even though I know it wasn't a sellout crowd, but it was a good energy in the building. Nashville, of course, Central Division rival. Still a bit of a fall from grace. They've been on that weird road trip where they started in Winnipeg, went all around like Western Canada and the Western United States, I think, and then ended up back in Winnipeg before I think now they go home. And look, Nashville themselves were dealing with some injuries. Steven Stamkos left the game. Luke Evangelista got that big hit from Neil Pionk in the first period. So he left. So they were down to 10 forwards on their bench while the Jets were dealing with, well, I'd say 5 defensemen, but I'm pretty sure almost every penalty, I know the Rasmus Kupari one aside, but a lot of the penalties were taken by defensemen tonight.
Yeah, four of the 7 penalties, the Jets actually took 6 penalties, but 4 of the 6 penalties were taken by defensemen. Coughlin, 2 by Pionk, and then the Logan Stanley double minor.
Right. So, I mean, so in addition to being sans Josh Morrissey, they were also having some of their guys go in the penalty box.
Well, I thought it was unfair that, when the Predators went down the 2 forwards, I thought it was unfair that they were allowed to clone Roman Josi and just keep him on the ice for the entirety of the third period.
He's so good.
28 minutes and 21 seconds Roman Josi played for the Nashville Predators tonight. And as fantastic as Connor Hellebuyck is and was in tonight's game, in a losing effort, Roman Josi was almost just as good. I mean, it's a shame that, the Predators are so poor this year because Roman Josi is doing everything he possibly can to drag and carry that team. 5 shots on goal, almost playing the entire half of the game Roman Josi was for the Preds tonight.
He is such a good player, and I know that Jets fans who are fans of the NHL in general know that he is such a good player. And as he's talked about him, we've all talked about him at length whether it's the Jets are playing Nashville or just because he's such a good player. So he's been a very good defenseman in this league for a long time. And they talked about it on the broadcast, which I heard, of course, when I got home for the third period. He really is a guy who Nashville can rely on, and they do, and they tend to just run him as best they can, and they did, to your point, as much as what did you say? He finished at 28 minutes.
28-21, so just
and
under
that's remarkable. That's remarkable. So, and it's not. Remember, it's not like Nashville was absent a defenseman like the Jets. Yeah. So for Roman Josi to do that, that's significant. But really, the man of the hour, the man of the night is Connor Hellebuyck in his 300th win. I mean, this is a guy that has, really, you want to talk about draft and develop. Yeah. I mean, drafted by the Winnipeg Jets back in 2012, the only one of the drafts that back in Pittsburgh we didn't go to. Of course, Connor Hellebuyck never went to it, so maybe there's a reason why we didn't bother going to Pittsburgh back then, Drew. But 5th round pick of the Winnipeg Jets. Spent time with the Manitoba Moose. Remember, though, that organization got to get your time in, and the St. John's Ice Caps, I should say. And then, of course, under the tutelage of, remember, his old goalie coach, Rick St. Croix, Manitoba Moose goalie coach back in the day. And then, of course, under Wade Flaherty here with the Jets. So just a remarkable career that, we get to kind of take for granted a little bit here in Winnipeg because he's just so, like you've said it, and you just said, I think you were talking in general about the team, but it's also about him specifically, how you have to just enjoy what you're witnessing, because he really is, again, this is like a Hall of Fame goaltender that Jets fans are getting. It's something that we've never seen in Winnipeg before.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Dave, because when I was sort of sitting here and I was getting ready to do the preamble or start thinking about, tonight's show as the game was unfolding and then the game ended, that, we do this 82 times a year, a minimum of 82 times a year.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, one game bleeds into the other, and you don't necessarily get the same appreciation for what you're watching on a night in, night out basis. Today was one of those games where, at least for yours truly, I could sort of take a step back and acknowledge and appreciate the excellence that's on display. When you do this so often, you begin to take it for granted, and you should never take for granted the exceptional performances that we get to see on a regular basis, because the world class athletes doing world class things But with Connor Hellebuyck, we see it so often that he makes the exceptional look routine and he makes the exceptional look ho-hum. But I wanted to take a minute just before the post-game show started, just for myself, just to sit back and say, look, on this milestone night, 300 games, 300th win of his career, that make this more than just one game of the 82. Make this an opportunity, take this opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate the excellence that's on display. Don't take it for granted, because 31 other teams wish they had a Connor Hellebuyck. And because they don't, and because we do here in Winnipeg, and we get to see it every night, it's important that we do just take that opportunity, almost give thanks for it, not to be too melodramatic or anything, but give thanks for the opportunity to watch what we can watch night in, night out. And I just wanted to make a point of doing that tonight as it pertains to Connor Hellebuyck.
Sure, but wasn't that the point I was just making?
I think it was, but I say it's a little bit more verbose and a little bit more dramatic with a little bit more feeling.
I will agree.
It just comes a little bit more, it comes out of me a little bit better.
I'm not a particularly emotional person, so you definitely bring a little more energy, I will say, Drew. I will give you credit on that one. But as I listened to you, I was like, really is talking about what I was talking about. So, I mean, it was a little more polished up, a little more glamorous, maybe the way you said it than I did. But I think the folks get the general gist of what we had to say in tonight's about Connor Hellebuyck. And like I said, watching him get all those games under his belt with the Manitoba Moose, getting, remember, he got that call up, splitting time with Andre Pavlik, some time with Michael Hutchinson, and then eventually assuming the mantle and becoming.
Mason. Don't forget Steve Mason.
Steve Mason. Well, I saw Chris Mason was in the press box today. Of course, the one-time Jets goaltender who is now with the Nashville Predators in a broadcast capacity. But we see the journalists, our fellow journalists in the Matt Frost Media Center, starting to roll in a little bit. So we'll hear from Scott Arniel. Hopefully, get an update on Josh Morrissey. But yes, definitely. Again, like I said, a lot to be thankful for if you're a Jets fan, for Connor Hellebuyck being in the net, because especially on the PK, 5-on-3, and I know we'll talk about it during the game recap, Drew, but I mean, he was very good. And even, it's funny because even the saves that they showed the replay, that one along, I think it was Marchessault along the wall, along the side where the puck, he had made the initial save and then it looked like he made a spectacular save. It wasn't, because it was already behind the net, but still the initial save was actually still pretty nice because it was through traffic. So he made a lot of really quality saves. And this is a quality netminder who is giving Jets fans. I mean, this is, again, I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic, but he's already won 2 Vezinas and he's better than either of those. And I know those were complete seasons. This is half a season, Drew. Yeah. But we're seeing a better version of Connor Hellebuyck in this season, the first year of his 7-year deal, than we did in the 2 previous ones when he won the Vezina. So it is hard to believe, but Jets fans are lucky. And hopefully with that luck, hopefully all you Jets fans who are listening and maybe listening on the podcast, so you'll come back and do it after, you're ready to smash that like button and make sure, for the record, subscribe. And you don't have to be a chatter. We don't require that. We do appreciate that. We love all the good comments. Drew's not really putting up a lot right now while I'm going on and on, but I will say, you don't have to be a chatter, but we do appreciate if you register, subscribe, and then just enjoy the show. But of course, hit that like button as well.
There you go. Exactly right. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel and Dave Manouk with you. It's presented by Play Now. Jets head coach Scott Arniel coming up momentarily. As soon as we see him at the podium, we'll bring him to you live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It is, as I mentioned, presented by Play Now. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Here's Scott Arniel.
Start with any update on Josh Morrissey? Any idea of
the lower body? We got to see how he is tomorrow. Obviously couldn't play the rest of the game there, fell into the goalpost. So
he did try the one shift.
Yeah. It was hurting. So
obviously that puts a big strain on your remaining 5, especially because of who it is that's out. To just maybe take us through what you thought that looked like.
Yeah, I think what's this, the 4th time I believe it's happened, 4th or 5th time. Kudos to those guys. They did a heck of a job. Everybody else stepping up. Billy Cogs going in there, kind of playing as a pair. I thought they did a really good job. And guys, sometimes when you get into situations like that, you don't have a chance to think, and you just go play, and all you're trying to do is get your breath back and get back out there again. And just a great job by all 5 of those guys.
7-1, I believe, was the final penalty disparity there. It includes 2 double minors. So just want to ask you about, in Rasmus's case, do you get an explanation there? Because he's obviously impeded, and they call that. In a follow-through on a shot, a player doesn't, you're allowed to not have control of your stick. That doesn't apply when a player is tripped?
Nope.
Did you know that, or is that
I didn't. That's what I was kind of trying to figure out, was the fact that he got slew foot, and on the way down his stick came up, and they said you have to be responsible for the stick. So I have nowhere to go on it. The only thing I could challenge whether or not it was 2 or 4.
And then on Logan Stanley's one, didn't look like there was initially a call. Is that one that, as far as you know, did the linesman call that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And some have suggested they thought that was a glove that hit him as opposed to...
No, I think he got hit with a stick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just back to the defenseman there, like in terms of adversity and what this group has faced on the back end, like when you take a step back, how big is it for the fact that your decor, a lot of guys that maybe wouldn't be getting big minutes have in important games down the stretch, and how big can that be for you guys for the entire year going forward?
Yeah, it's huge for us to have guys playing meaningful games. It just gets them in as part of the mix, feeling comfortable about how we play. Some of the guys are new to our organization, so they haven't had a chance to kind of play with us, so they've get an opportunity doing that. It gives us a read really on kind of watching them, in fast-moving water and kind of seeing how they play in those situations. And for those guys to go through, was it Cogs' game 4, Philly's game 14, like for them to go through these situations and continue to, improve and do those things, that's all growth that we need from them.
Connor Hellebuyck, when he got the first star and was the fans gave an ovation, he grabbed the crest on his jersey and was holding it as the fans applauded him. Connor's embraced this city, and you yourself, who's become a resident of the city, has been here for a while. That sort of love affair between Connor and the city, just how lucky is the city to have a player like that, and just kind of what does that do for a franchise when there's that bond, especially for a smaller market?
Well, the biggest thing for me is that he signed that 8-year deal last summer. And that just proved that he loves being here. He loves a lot of what Winnipeg brings, what Manitoba brings, especially the outdoor stuff. His love for the fans is based on how they cheer his name and how they give him standing ovations, and he loves to show that back like that. And for him, he's earned it all, and 300 is a heck of a milestone, and you got to tip your hat to greatness that way, and you'd always love to see it when guys want to be here, and then how the fans reciprocate that back.
The numbers suggest what he's doing, the speed at which he gets to 300 is historical. I'm wondering, in your time in the game, have you seen anything out of the kind of goalie world that you think is comparable, or is this kind of just uncharted territory from what you've seen?
Well, I think there's been sort of era goalies. I don't want to go too far back and give away my age, but I mean, if you go through Brodeur, you go through Patrick Waugh, you work your way up. What I had a chance to be around Hank in New York. There's just like elite players that are on the ice trying to score goals. When you see goalies do it, obviously, because of the, having that play that position. It's just like the third period tonight, those shots that were coming at them, and especially on that penalty kill, that's the greatness that you see. And then to be able to be around that, to watch that, be in front of that, or be on a bench watching that every night, that's special for me. I mean, these guys are, they come along every so often, and he's one of those guys, and hopefully he's here. We've got him for a few more years, which is great.
And to the point of the crowd and the way it interacted with your team and the things that they were doing tonight, I know how much they appreciated it as a coach. The way that your team the spine stiffened at that moment towards the end of the game. What did you see from your team there?
Yeah, obviously we got up. Bad first 5 minutes. Actually, our first 5 shifts weren't very good. They really came at us. Ellie made some stops. We took over the last 15 minutes of that period, got up 3-0. I thought we were pretty sloppy in the second, but the crowd can lift you, and that kill that we had in the third period, the 5-on-3, and us going out and scoring our power play, that crowd, like I said, I got asked this morning about outside people and what their thoughts are about us. We have our fans and we have our people that are Jets supporters, and we know when they're in behind us, and that's, it's been an awful lot this year, and we appreciate that, and it helps pick our bench up sometimes when we're down in games, or when if we're down a goal, or we're not playing at our best. It's just something that picks us all up, and that's what you love to see.
That's a unique moment, that mid-game 5-on-3 kill and then into the standing ovation. And I'm thinking of the guys who are on the ice, like Adam Lowry, Neil Pionk, Dylan DeMello, were three veterans who don't get a ton of highlight reels or all of the accolades or what have you, but they're getting a standing ovation for your team. What does that mean to you as a coach to see these important cogs get recognized?
I think it just shows how much the word team is important for winning, and your top guys have to be their best, but then you need role players. You need people that step into those situations that help you win hockey games, and that very well could have been, a situation where they came back and tied that game up just because of the penalties. And when your leader or your captain is starting it, everybody's following along. But like you mentioned there, role players are a big part of it. You don't win any kind of championship. You don't get anywhere without the depth of your team contributing, and that's just a big part of what we ask.
And one more on Connor Hellebuyck. There was a time at the end of last season where he was saying, well, I don't know, maybe I need to change my game. He doubles down on himself again, and he gets it right. It's even better this year than last, and he won the Vezina Trophy last year. Can you even put into perspective the uniqueness of the personality that you have to be him, being like, I'm going to do it my way, and then he got better?
Yeah, I think that's just his drive, just kind of how he prepares. I think that, he looked at a lot of what happened last year. I know he's talked to lots of people, Flats, myself. I mean, there's been lots of conversations, and that's what he's talked about. He's gonna, there's things that he knows that when he's doing well, he's unbeatable, and he's just a type of goaltender that is driven. Is going back to your question about sort of the greatness, top goalies. You have a chance to be around elite players in this league. They're in a different mindset, how they approach things, and that's Helly. It's for him to say that I'm going to overhaul this, I'm going to go back and just be me, or whatever it is. He came in and he told you guys he was going to do it, and he did it. So, it's obviously, it's bonus for us. All right, thank you.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel, joining us tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by Play Now, live from the Matt Frost Media Center, waxing eloquently about Connor Hellebuyck, about tonight's Jets victory. The update on Josh Morrissey is no real update as of late. Lower body will be reevaluated tomorrow, so be sure to keep it locked to illegalcurve.com tomorrow for all the latest news regarding the Winnipeg Jets, and which will, I think, logically include a health update on Josh Morrissey, Mr. Manouk.
Yeah,
by the way, you still look great. I still can't see you, but you've never looked better.
All right. Well, as long as the folks can see me, that's more my concern. Believe me, I wish I couldn't see you right now. Unfortunately, I get you in all your glory, Mindell. But I was just going to say, it's kind of, Mike McIntyre's, one of his first questions was, did Logan Stanley's high stick catch Jonathan Marchessault in the face? Well, I don't know if the folks can see that, but Colby Spence, our videographer / photographer, took this picture, and you can see not only did he catch him in the face, he literally is like eating the stick. That's how badly he got it. So Colby was joking in the private chat saying, "Oh, did he ever?" And I just texted that picture to Mike saying, "Hey, Mike, check this out. He definitely got him. It was definitely a penalty." But the penalty kill, for the most part, other than the one Philip Forsberg goal, which we'll get into, was pretty good tonight. So, and of course, it's always pretty good when you have Connor Hellebuyck in net. So the Jets are feeling good. No surprise. And I know that, like I said, we've got the availability, of course, from Morning Skate today on our YouTube channel, which is where you find all the latest Jets and Moose videos. That's where we post it exclusively. No other company does. So you can always get the Jets and Moose interviews on our YouTube channel. hint, hint, hit that subscribe button. But I will say, Drew, that one of the comments that in Scott Arniel's media availability that I really picked up on, in addition to him making fun of Randy Carlisle, was the fact, I don't know if you saw that, but he did
I saw it.
Mike McIntyre asked him about wearing neck protection, guys wearing neck protection, of course,
Sure.
in response to Colin Miller, who we could give an update, has a fractured larynx. So he's out a minimum of 2 weeks. But so Mike was asking about neck guards, and he said, well, I've evolved in my thinking in that regard. If guys could wear helmets, and he goes, like Randy Carlisle, not that it did much help or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of funny. But the point I was trying to get to, which he just was referencing in his media availability there, Drew, was in response to kind of the disregard the Winnipeg Jets get nationally in terms of like people not believing in them. And so he has, just in case folks didn't understand what he was referencing today in just now, was just that idea of that people doubt the Winnipeg Jets, and that he said, look, we don't have doubt. The fans don't have doubt. Although I don't know if I'd go that far. Fans have some doubt, and there's fine reasons to have healthy skepticism. But the fact is that was what that was in reference to, in case anybody's wondering why specifically he was talking about what his earlier comments, and just that idea of like having faith in this group.
Indeed, and this group is continuing to reward that faith, led tonight by Connor Hellebuyck and his excellent performance, leading the Jets to a 5-2 victory over the Nashville Predators, a much-needed win for the Jets as they arrest the 3-game losing streak that they were on. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. We do this here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's called the Play Now Game Recap.
The Play Now Game Recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve postgame show, the Illegal Curve hockey show, and of course, illegalcurve.com. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. As Scott Arniel said in his introductory comments, he thought the first 5 shifts of tonight's game were not really good by the Winnipeg Jets, that the Nashville Predators had the better of the action through the first 5 or so shifts of tonight's game. Well, things turned quickly thereafter. The Jets began to take over in the first period on their way to 3 unanswered first period goals, the first of which came from Morgan Barron. That comes at the 6-minute and 30-second mark. If you believe the NHL.com score sheet that I have up on my screen, it is his 42nd goal of the year, which I can assure you, it in fact is not his 42nd goal of the year, more like his 4th goal of the year. Although NHL.com is also saying it's an own goal by the Nashville Predators. Morgan Barron getting credit for it, unassisted, a goal mouth scramble, if you've ever seen one, where you're waiting for the whistle to blow, but nary a whistle shall come until the puck is in the net, and the Jets have the 1-0 lead at the 6:30 mark of the first period, Dave. A great goal in the sense that they needed one by the Jets' 4th line. Hard work by Kupari, Gustafson, and Morgan Barron.
Drew, I'm a little bit worried about your eyes because you couldn't see me, and now your screen is saying 42 goals. I'm looking at the NHL website right now. Mine says 4 goals. So
No. If you open up the game summary,
I'm in the game summary right now. Yeah.
And it
Mine
says
Mine says Morgan Barron 4 goals, unassisted, not own goal. So either you got something wackadoo going on with your eyes this evening, Drew. I'm not sure quite yet, but that's okay.
Because everything that it says that every goal in this game says according to my version of the game summary that's up on my screen, and I'm refreshing it.
Okay.
It says Barron's 42nd, Morrissey's 42nd, Connor's 42nd. Might be right for Connor. Forsberg 41st, Velarde's 42nd, Yossi's 37th, and Niederreiter's 42nd. So maybe I'm going to close that and reopen it.
Yeah, you might want to do a little refresh. But
yeah.
Look,
I mean, you're my local medical professional as well.
Well, it's funny. The guys inside on the Jumbotron, they also had it similarly wackadoo because it was 5-1 shots for the Predators, and Scott Arniel's definitely right. The Jets were giving away the puck, and it wasn't one guy. Stanley gave away the puck. Ehlers gave away the puck. Pionk gave away the puck. A little potpourri. Neil Pionk tied Jacob Trouba for games played. So the guys who were traded for each other, Pionk has now played. as many games as Jacob Trouba. I think he's got about 26 more points if you factor that in. What's going on with your eyes? Are you doing an eye test right now, Drew?
I'm texting you exactly what I see on my screen, so you can verify that
Okay.
I'm not losing my mind.
Fair enough. But anyways, the fact is that, you know, the Jets were doing their best to give away that game early, and it was thanks to Connor Hellebuyck that they didn't. And then you're right. It's funny. They call this unassisted, but to me, Rasmus Kupari makes just a phenomenal play. Really nice move. I mean, again, Kupari's been building throughout this year, and obviously he's not having a significant year, but he is getting fourth line minutes, so that is worth noting. But I really liked, I thought it was deceptive because he made Saros, you know, his countrymen, think that he was going to go around the net, and instead he kind of cuts back. And as a result, you like the pressure by all of these guys. We didn't even know who scored the goal, to be honest with you, because when you're watching it, when we were watching it live, originally I thought it was Kupari, and, you know, unfortunately for, it was who was it again? Oh, it was Blankenberg who knocked it into the net off of after it went underneath Saros. I mean, I was anticipating a whistle, and then we were expecting that the Preds might challenge. Yeah. But the refs, of course, didn't blow the whistle, so there was no intention to blow the whistle. So it was hard to decide what they could have challenged that for. But I just like the fact that Kupari got them to bite, cut back hard, put it there in a good spot, and credit Morgan Barron. I mean, one of the guys that we listed as a guy who you needed more from. And I'm not saying like you need more, you need him to be 30 goals more, but you needed more from Morgan Barron. And it seems like, and again, I joked about this the other day, Drew, not because of what we have said, but I just think overall, you're just seeing a better effort from Morgan Barron. More, maybe it's going up against his younger brother, Justin Barron, but I just thought Morgan Barron, that line was better, and they open up the scoring and they kind of get things going in the right direction for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, exactly right. 1-0 for the Jets after a bit of a slow start. They get that all-important first goal, similar to what they did to the Predators when they were here about 10 days ago or so. The Predators were, you know, pretty decent to start the game. The Jets held them at bay, and then they scored a goal quickly to take the lead. The Jets go, as you heard it on the broadcast. You don't hear it often on the broadcast anymore, but you did hear them say bang, bang, as Josh Morrissey makes it 2-0 for the Winnipeg Jets. This coming 16 seconds after the Morgan Barron goal, and to the surprise of no one that has at least seen the replay of this, it is our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
I think Kevin Sawyer referred to it on the broadcast as a perfect shot, and it really was that. The Jets forced the turnover behind the Predators' net. Lowry back over to DeMello. DeMello crossed the ice to Josh Morrissey. I believe it's Marchessault who's a little late to get out and challenge Morrissey on this one. And it's just a perfect shot by Morrissey to beat UC Saros and give the Jets a 2-0 lead. 16 seconds after they opened the scoring. You got to see Josh Morrissey at his best on this goal with an absolute laser of a perfectly placed shot to make it, as I said, 2-0 for the Jets.
Yeah, there's, you know, it's funny. How many times have we seen Josh Morrissey do that? And you like the fact that the Jets didn't sit back. I mean, like I said, Drew, they didn't have a good start, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. I think both teams had been off the same amount of time. But we know that the Jets had chosen not to skate either of the 2 days following the Red Wings game, taking an extra day off just to give their guys some rest and recovery. And the Jets captain, Adam Lowry, when we spoke to him after morning skate, spoke about how important that was, just because this group hadn't, you know, he said the Christmas break is, you know, 3 days, but, you know, you're some guys are traveling, you're doing family stuff. So it's not really about rest and recovery.
Everybody needs a break from family anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So not from the grandfather clock, of course, Drew, but from clock, family sometimes.
The clock knows all.
Exactly. But it was more just this idea that the team needed a little bit of a break, if you will, just some time to rest and recover. And sure enough, I mean, these guys are, it was almost like they needed that little kind of initial punch in the face, and then they woke up. And Josh Morrissey, how many times have we seen him just come down and just light it? And Saros gets completely screened in this one. So you don't really blame him for it. I just like the fact that, like, you see Adam Lowry react quickly, get to that puck, fire it out to Dylan DeMello, who gets it over to Josh Morrissey. And then Alex Iafallo, credit him, because I remember talking about this specifically with the Moose, but it also happens with the Jets. It's amazing to me that the guys who are in front of the net, obviously they get a plus, but they don't get any real regard. But without Alex Iafallo making, as good as this shot is, if Alex Iafallo isn't taking away the eyes of UC Saros,
Sure,
this isn't going in the net. And so it's a beautiful shot, but credit Alex Iafallo for the screen, because we said this in the game against the Red Wings when Nino Niederreiter and Mark Scheifele went to the front of the net. And I think it was Josh Morrissey who scored, right? Morrissey scored against the Wings, didn't he?
No, it was
Pionk,
wasn't it?
Oh, it was Pionk. It was Pionk. So
Yeah.
sorry. So, but the point is that when they went to the front net, they took away the eyes of Lyon. And in this instance, you take away the eyes of Saros, who's a very good goaltender. And we saw it throughout this hockey game. And sure enough, they get the goal.
Yeah, 2-0 at that point, 6:46 into the first period. The Jets get the triumvirate of first period goals at the 18:36 mark. It's Kyle Connor. He gets his, not 42nd, but that's what my screen is still telling me, his 23rd of the season assist to Mark Scheifele and Ville Heinola. And you know, he's not credited with an assist here, even though, I mean, I thought that he should have been, but he's still not. It's Dylan Coghlan showing off some of that offensive upside and his aggressiveness. He comes in, and it's partly his responsibility that allows Mark Scheifele to take the puck away from Fedor Svechkov, and then Scheifele finds Connor in the slot. Connor makes no mistake in beating UC Saros to make it 3-0, but you do have to like Dylan Coghlan and his aggressive play in this instance, stepping up, forcing it, and combining his play with Scheifele's play forces the turnover and leads to the Jets' goal. I thought that Dylan Coghlan had another very solid game for the Winnipeg Jets, and he's likely to get a little bit of runway now with Colin Miller out of the lineup for at least the next couple of weeks with the fractured larynx.
True, and then the question would have been, assuming, because we mentioned, I believe we mentioned it, Dylan Sandberg was for the first time in a regular jersey today at morning skate. I didn't expect him to play because of the fact that it was his first time in a morning skate. Well, first time in a regular jersey, I should say, in some time. And with 2 days potentially of practice, we don't know if the Jets are going to use both these next 2 days before they play again on Friday against the Kings. But regardless of that, you'd think, okay, well, they'll probably want to get him into at least one practice rather than just a morning skate. And Scott O'Neill did say when he was asked about Sandberg, well, I told him to stay out of any lines. So you didn't want to shot lanes, I should say. So he knew that you didn't want him to get too roughed up. And so it may be a little bit of time, but we'll see, Drew. They may not have that luxury, of course, with
I think
the
that,
question mark.
Assuming that he's on the ice for practice either today or Wednesday or Thursday, you'd expect he's going to be in the lineup on Friday. I mean, the Jets don't really have any other options at this point in time.
No, for sure.
Josh Morrissey's out of the lineup. In terms of your left side defenseman,
I was going to joke and say it's time to call Dmitry Kuzmin, the 2021 third rounder, who
I'll take a rusty Dylan Sandberg over. With all due respect to Dmitry Kuzmin, I'll take a rusty Dylan Sandberg over him at this point in time.
There's no question about it. I'm joking, of course. And so look, it is of course, a question mark. And I do agree, Dylan Coghlan, only 4 games, but he's come in, and he spoke, of course, this morning as well, and talked about just his readiness. And, he obviously didn't have as long a gap between games in order to be ready, but that's what you have to do. That's what a guy in his position has to do, Drew. And you have to be ready to go. And if your name gets called, this is what every guy wants, is opportunity. We talked about it. Logan Stanley, Ville Heinola had a heck of a good game, I thought, today. So, yeah.
Well,
and I know statistically,
Heinola and Coghlan led the Jets in Corsi 4%.
I think it was like 80% or something like that.
It was 80% earlier in the game. The third period, it came down. Sure. Heinola finished the game at 65%, Corsi 4, and expected goals for percentage of 74%. And then Coghlan was just behind him, second on the Jets at 59.3% and an expected goals for percentage of 73.8. So analytically, a very solid performance by Heinola and Coghlan together. And you would sort of have to expect that they might be a pairing for the next little while for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes, exactly. And so I know this is about breaking down the third goal, and we've kind of sidebarred to the Heinola and Coghlan, but I do agree with you. I think Coghlan deserved credit because it's not an easy position that he's in. And Scott O'Neill outlined it, right? He said it's Coughlin's 4th game. It's Heinola's 14th game, which matches his number, his jersey number. And sure enough, he gets his first point of the season on this play specifically. And the one thing I outlined when I was putting it on our social media, Drew, was if you don't want to get scored on, do not give Kyle Connor time and space. Those are the two things that you can't give 81 ever. And they gave him both time and they gave him space. And Mark Scheifele, I mean, as I said, I think when these two hooked up on it for, or linked up, I should say, for a goal previously, I think in the last game or the game before that, they just have a sixth sense about the other where they know. And that's why Scott O'Neill is so quick to keep them together. And sure enough, Scheifele finds Kyle Connor, that aforementioned time and space, and it's in the back of the net before you can even blink. And he's got 23 goals, not 42 goals as NHL.com is telling you, Drew, but he does have 23 goals, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, soft play all around by the Predators on this goal. Soft by Svechkov, soft in giving the Jets just a clean zone entry. I'm hesitant to criticize UC Saros on this goal because it's Kyle Connor in a great shooting position. But if you're the Predators, you need to find a way for Saros to make that save, because we've seen it time and time again that Connor Hellebuyck can step up and make that save so you don't fall back down 3 goals. If you're the Predators, I mean, look, they have so many problems that UC Saros is at the bottom of their list of problems. But in this instance, in this situation, you need him to step up and make a save there. Kyle Connor is an exceptional goal scorer, don't get me wrong. But if you're the Predators, and if you're Saros himself, I think you think, I need to find a way to fight through that one and make the save, and he wasn't able to do so. It ends up being the game-winning goal, as it happens, as the Jets jump out to the 3-0 lead after 20 minutes. The Predators cut it to 3-1 as the Jets run into some penalty trouble late in the second period, just after Neil Pionk's penalty for holding comes to an end. He takes an unintentional puck over glass minor penalty, and then the Predators, it takes them 27 seconds to capitalize on this one. Phil Forsberg, who has been certainly snake bitten in terms of scoring.
Did they say it was his first goal in 19 games or something?
In
like
19 games, something like that.
That's actually
incredible.
Unbelievable given how good a goal scorer he is. And I mean, this shot is an example of how good his shot is, but go on.
Anyways, it's his 10th of the season, assist to Roman Josi and Jonathan Marchessault, and the Jets just continue to sort of, they played with fire a little too much. They took the first 3 penalties in the course of today's game, and on the third one, the Predators finally cut the lead from 3-0 to 3-1, and that's how the second period came to an end, Dave.
Well, so, I mean, I'm not going to say you yada yada over the best part, Drew, but the point that I would have said earlier, that, you know, you said, could UC Saros make the big save? Well, he made a hell of a good save early in that second period on Gabriel Velarde.
Yeah.
A save that, I'm not joking, when I was sitting, and of course, like I said, where we are in the press box, that's right under us where UC Saros was. As the play is happening live in real time, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, well, that's a goal. And I'm getting ready to say as much. And then I'm like, oh, wow, he made a real nice save. I know Velarde didn't quite get all of it, but it was a nice save by Saros to keep it a 3-0 game at that point. And then, of course, the other thing that we mentioned a little bit, and we obviously got the update, or the quasi update from head coach Scott O'Neill, is that Josh Morrissey left, came back, left again, and of course did not return. So that was tough. And yeah, the parade to the penalty box is less than ideal for the Winnipeg Jets, but this is, you just have to credit, because as good as Connor Hellebuyck is, and as good as he had been throughout the course of this hockey game, this is just a perfect shot by Philip Forsberg. And so it really was shocking when I saw the stat that he hadn't scored a goal in 19, because he's a pretty prolific goal scorer.
Yeah.
And Nashville doesn't have a particularly good power play. So, I mean, the Jets, I thought the Jets PK had looked fairly strong, against them. But this is just another example. I think it was Ryan O'Reilly, if I'm right, was providing a screen in front of Connor Hellebuyck, similar to what we saw on the Jets goal, and took away Connor Hellebuck's eyes. But great shot by Philip Forsberg, and suddenly the Preds have a little bit of life at 3-1.
3-1 at that point in time. The third period begins with that bizarre double penalty. Vinny Hinostroza goes for tripping. Rasmus Kupari goes for high sticking simultaneous. That happens at the 2:43 mark. Just a bizarre one where Hinostroza takes the initial penalty. As he's falling to the ice, Kupari loses control of his stick and catches Hinostroza with the high stick, resulting in the double minor. Just a bizarre situation. I guess it's officiated correctly based on what Scott Arniel said in the explanation he was given. Certainly seems odd that you can be penalized for falling when because your opponent has committed an infraction, but it just shows you do have to be in control of your stick at all times, except on the follow through of a shot. So I just don't understand the discrepancy and why they distinguish between those situations.
I mean, I don't like it at all. I think it stinks real bad. Sorry. But I will say, like, to me, I understand logically why they would say that, but you're right, Drew. I mean, so you don't have to have control when you're taking a follow through of your stick. So that can hit someone in the face. And if you fall or you're tripped. So again, like it's one thing if you fell, if you initiated the fall, like it's your own fault and your stick goes up like Kupari's and you smack a guy in the face.
Yeah.
Okay. But for there to be a penalty, because the way we would think about it is, but for that penalty, there's no infraction.
Right.
So, and why should, again, the other way you'd look at it is, why should a team benefit and get a double minor for committing a penalty that cost them 2 minutes? So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I understand. I agree with you that it's called correctly, but it's just a weird sort of rule. But I mean, I guess we'll have to have Josh from Scouting the Refs on the show one of these days to get his insight, because to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. But like you said, to the letter of the law, it's the right call, and the Jets PK had to go to work.
The PK went to work successfully, killing off that penalty. And then the Jets power play went to work for the only time in this game that they had an opportunity to do so. That's in the third period at the 7:51 mark. It takes them all of 9 seconds. So Justin Barron gets called for holding at 7:42.
By the way, I was incorrect, Drew. I originally thought it was Barron on Barron, but it was apparently Barron on Gustafsson.
There you go. Close enough. It doesn't matter. A Barron goes to the box after a Barron scored earlier in the game. Gabe Vilardi, again, not his 42nd goal of the season, but rather it is his 19th goal of the season, assist to Ehlers and Scheifele, and it takes 9 seconds. I mean, that's just how dangerous the Winnipeg Jets power play is. Great puck movement, great pass from Ehlers right onto the stick of Vilardi. Vilardi with the redirection, past Saros, and it's 4-1 at that point in time. You think it's home free for the Winnipeg Jets at that point, but it seemed like the last 12 minutes of this game took about an hour and a half to play.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And the one thing I put out there on social media, Drew, was how many times have we seen that goal from that trio on the power play specifically? I mean, they just, Scheifele, Ehlers, and Vilardi are, and obviously Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey when he's healthy. They're just so good. And so it was just a nice look between that trio and for Vilardi to get his 19th just on the doorstep. I mean, he does that again. It's funny. People are like, oh, he didn't really have to do much, but he has to put himself into that position, and Ehlers hits him with that perfect shot. And the second line, again, bit of a quiet game. We're still waiting to see. It just doesn't seem to be doing what it needs to do. And we keep looking at it, and the Jets keep winning, but they need more from that second line. And so I know we're supposed to be talking about the goal, but it does obviously, I'm thinking later in the game, there was a play where Cole Perfetti could have hit Vlad Nemesnikov for an easy breakaway. Yeah. And he just hits the defender and just goes. And I just thought, boy, this they just don't have any chemistry whatsoever. So anyways, but on this play specifically, sorry, as I digress, the Jets do get a 4-1 lead courtesy of Gabriel Vilardi's 19th of the season. Just the power play. Remember the Predators, when they were last here, how long ago was that? Was that 2 weeks ago?
10 days ago.
Yeah, something like that. So when the Jets beat them 3-0, they left. They came into Winnipeg that day. They had the number 1 penalty kill in the NHL. Today, they have the number 3 penalty kill in the NHL. So, may have slid a little bit, but the point is that it was still a top PK in the NHL, and the Jets, with the number one power play in the NHL, looked made pretty silly 9 seconds in.
Yes, they did. And that made it 4-1 for the Winnipeg Jets. The Predators cut it to 4-2. Roman Josi. Again, I have to go back. I have to toggle between screens to find out exactly how many goals he scored. He scored 8 goals on the year. It's assisted by Vinny Hinostroza and Gus Nyquist. And it's a convenient and a fortuitous bounce by the Predators off of the stick of Logan Stanley. You can blame Stanley for a lot of things. This one was just bad timing and bad luck. The shot is clearly going wide, except that it pinballs off of his skate past Connor Hellebuyck to cut the lead from 4-1 to 4-2. This at the 9:25 mark of the third period, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, look, we roast Logan Stanley quite a bit on this show, but in this instance, so he's trying to box out, which is what he's supposed to be doing. And so Roman Josi with the perfect shot, and we've lauded Roman Josi for how good he is, but it's just unfortunate. And you could say Stanley could have taken a peek, so he at least had a little bit more insight, because at that point, Nyquist, but now he's trying to prevent Nyquist from getting to the front of the net.
He's doing what he's supposed to do and keeping Gustav Nyquist away from the front of the net. And just so happens that Josi plays pinball with him, unexpectedly.
And let's be realistic, that's not intentional. I mean, as much as guys will sometimes attempt a bank, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, Yosi's Roman Josi's that good. Maybe he would, but in this instance, I don't believe it is. So yeah, that's just an unfortunate bounce, but it does give the Preds a little bit of life, especially given the penalty troubles that were about to transpire.
Yeah, so those penalty troubles you speak of at the 10:31 mark, so 1 minute and 6 seconds after the Preds cut it to a 2-goal game, Logan Stanley takes a double minor for high sticking. And this is just him not playing the position well enough. And I hate to be harsh, but that's just what it is. And Kevin Sawyer said the same thing on the broadcast. This is a play that you can kill before it gets anywhere close to Connor Hellebuyck. And Logan Stanley, I mean, I think it's a combination of just a player without any confidence. So he's always second guessing. He's always indecisive.
Drew, that's top pairing left side defenseman Logan Stanley to you.
We'll hope Dylan Sandberg's back in time for Friday's game in that case. But, in this instance, he's just not decisive enough with his actions. And, he allows Marchessault, right? It was Marchessault, if I'm not mistaken, to get the position, get a shot on Connor Hellebuyck. The shot should never have happened. But then in the ensuing battle, he high sticks Marchessault. And as a result, the Predators get a double minor. So they have, you're in with 9.5 minutes to go. 4 of those 9.5 minutes are going to be at the minimum with the Jets shorthanded. And then, of course, it becomes a 2-man disadvantage when they call Kyle Connor.
Which is atrocious.
Just an absolute soft call that should never be made. It's not a penalty in the first period, or if it is in the first period, it's a weak call at that time.
Yeah.
It can't be called in this instance with 7 minutes to go in the game. This was just an absolutely atrocious penalty call that puts the Jets down 5-on-3. The Predators have a great opportunity here to cut the lead from 4-2 to 4-3. And there's still plenty of time left in the game. But who comes up big? The man of the hour, the man of the night, the man of the match, Connor Hellebuyck, making 5 saves in the course of this power play opportunity for the Predators, keeping them at bay. The Jets kill off the 2-man advantage. They kill off the double minor. The crowd rises to its feet. The educated audience that does attend games by and large here in Winnipeg, they recognize great penalty killing when they see it and great goaltending when they see it, saluting the Winnipeg Jets as this snuffs out any hope the Predators have of getting back into this game. And then Nito Niederreiter, after the penalties have all expired.
His 42nd goal of the year.
It's also his 42nd goal of the year, according to NHL.com on my screen. I texted it to you. Do you see the text? Can you verify?
No, Drew, I'm trying to pay attention to the show.
Okay, well, look at your phone for 2 seconds and validate that I'm not having a stroke or something.
Okay.
And it says that,
you are right. Although I will confirm, I did look on my NHL.com and it did say own goal for the Barron one.
Yes, it says that on mine as well. So I mean, whatever it is, Nito Niederreiter.
Well, maybe they're just taking into account the fact that the Predator knocked it into the net, so they're calling it an own goal.
Well, that's why they're calling it an own goal. There's no question about it. But at least we know it's not, Niederreiter's 42nd of the year. It's his 11th. It's into the empty net. The Jets win 5-2 tonight over the Nashville Predators. They get back into the winning side of the ledger, which is good because both the Minnesota Wild won, the Dallas Stars won in overtime. Who else won? And that looks like that's it in the Central Division so far tonight in terms of winners. But the Jets take care of business and increase their lead or can maintain their lead in the Central Division, Dave.
Well, and it's interesting because Minnesota and Dallas both were comeback wins. So
yes, they were.
Minnesota had it was weird though. Minnesota had a 2-0 lead. Then they were losing. Then they tied it. Then they were losing, and then they ended up coming back and winning. So the Wild got wild. And look, the other thing that is worth noting, even though Nashville is a terrible road team, I think they're like 5-13, and maybe not that bad, but they don't have a good road record, whatever it is. But their last 2 wins were on the road, so they did come into tonight's game.
Or Vancouver and Calgary, if I'm not
right.
mistaken.
I am right. 5-13-4. So I was slightly right.
They
5-13-4, but two of those wins on the road of the 5 were in the last 2 games. So they much like playing. And remember, the other thing that's worth noting, I know people were maligning the Jets for losing to Anaheim, but as we mentioned, Anaheim went on and kept winning. And Detroit has continued to win after playing against Winnipeg. I know they beat Ottawa tonight, I believe 3-2. So
they did, yes.
2 of the teams. I mean, remember, that's one of the things that was talked about with Scott O'Neill is that you're facing teams that are feeling good about themselves. And so, you could look at a team and say, well, the Nashville Predators are the 7th team in the Central, and they're atrocious right now. I don't know how many points back there of Winnipeg, but it's significant. And yet they
25.
were playing 25. And so they're playing, and I think it was like when they came here like 12 days ago, Drew, it was like 19. So the gap continues as Nashville, despite the 2 wins that they put up their last 2, they're just a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks that you can win the Stanley Cup on July 1st. Yeah, just look no further than the Nashville Predators. And that's not to say they can't get the ship turned around next year, but that ship is sunk for the 24-25 season. I'll put a Ginsburg guarantee on that little bad boy.
Dear Lord, you should never let those words leave your mouth. You should know better than that. Jets win 5-2. That is the Play Now game recap brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Big thanks to them and all of our sponsors for their continued support. Speaking of sponsors, time to pay some bills. Don't go anywhere. Much more of the Illegal Curve post-game show still to come. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you on a Tuesday night. The Illegal Curve post-game show rolls right on.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
This January at Boston Pizza, every day is Pasta Tuesday. That means BP's famous pastas start at just $11.99 every single day. Create your own or go gourmet for just a few bucks more. Come on in for Pasta Tuesday pricing any day. Only this January at Boston Pizza.
Once again, I completely forgot to turn down the audio on the Boston Pizza Pasta Tuesday all month long commercial. So that's something I can do before Friday's next Winnipeg Jets game as they welcome the LA Kings to town, right? It's the Kings on Friday and the Avs on Saturday. Did they get that right, Dave? Dave, are you there? Dave might not be there. I don't know if Dave's there or not. He's still a black screen. I don't know if anybody can even hear me. So hopefully I'll just keep talking until somebody says something to me one way or the other.
Sorry, I pulled a Ginsburg and I muted myself there, Drew. So I didn't know what was going on. I could hear me, and then I was like, well, I don't sound right. Yes, you are correct in who you think the Jets are playing. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. Friday against the Kings, Saturday against the Avs, Pasta Tuesday all month long with our friends at Boston Pizza. Speaking of Boston Pizza, we're next going to be at Boston Pizza in a couple of weeks' time. That is on the 22nd, so 2 weeks from tomorrow, January the 22nd. The Jets and the Colorado Avalanche will be doing battle. It will be an Illegal Curve watch party at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue, followed by the Illegal Curve post-game show. So be sure to join us on Wednesday, January 22nd. To talk and watch the Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue. The week before that, exactly 1 week from today, that is going to be the Jets and the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to be at City Place for our lunch hour show on that Tuesday afternoon. We'll get you set for the Jets and the Canucks, so be sure to join us at City Place. I was walking through City Place on Sunday on my way to the Harlem Globetrotters, and I pointed out the big Illegal Curve poster to my kids, and they looked at me and, as only kids can, stabbed me right in the heart and said, "Why is that there? Why is that big sign there, Dad? You're not there right now. It doesn't matter." Thanks, kids. Appreciate the love and support as always. But anyways, for all of you who truly do love and support us, we'll be at Boston Pizza on the 22nd and City Place on the 14th. You get that right, Dave?
Yeah, it sounds about right. You're usually in charge of that stuff, Drew. So I'm going to go and defer to you and your knowledge and where we will be. I just try and show up and make sure I'm ready to go.
That's all we ask of you. Here's Connor Hellebuyck. He gets the last word tonight because it's his night. He was told by Sean Reynolds, our good friend Rennie, that he was the second fastest goaltender ever in NHL history to reach 300 wins and 40 shutouts. Here's what he had to say. This courtesy, Murat Atesh has put this out there on the old Twitter feed. Quote, for the longest time I was just playing, taking it day by day, having fun, working hard, and trying to get better. As you get a little older in this league and things start to happen and you start to achieve some things, that kind of sets in and you start to realize that you're doing some great things. I've been grateful to be a part of this great organization, and I've had a lot of these guys around me the entire time. It's been a good team the entire time I've been here, so I'm very grateful for everything that's been going on around me. I know it's not just me. It's a whole team and a whole organization that helps, and he also gave praise to the Winnipeg Jets fans. This courtesy, I think, coming from Jacob Stoller's Twitter feed. Quote, I was trying to share the moment with the fans. At the heart of our game, we're kind of entertainers. They've been with us through the start of this. Everyone that was in the crowd tonight, I was trying to give them a piece of that emotion that I was feeling. When he came back out after being awarded the first star tonight, you saw him holding on to the crest of the Winnipeg Jets logo. And I know that he was trying to hold the crest, near his heart and demonstrate how much the organization means to him and how much the Jets franchise means to him. But the way it was, given all the bulky equipment, it was almost like he was holding it where his stomach is. And I couldn't help but think that's apropos, because Connor Hellebuyck, after 300 wins, is hungry for more. And that more is Stanley Cup playoff success. And time will tell in April and May and onwards if the Jets achieve that success. But for tonight, you can appreciate Connor Hellebuyck, his hard work, his heart, and his attitude, and his hunger for more, as the Winnipeg Jets are victorious 5-2 tonight over the Nashville Predators. And Connor Hellebuyck wins game number 300 as a member of the Winnipeg Jets.
And
we're next in action. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to end it by wishing my mom a happy belated birthday. It was her birthday yesterday, so happy birthday
Happy birthday, Cheryl.
My mom. And she's a loyal fan, Drew. She watches the show, or if she can't see me like you, she'll listen to the show and she downloads the podcast. It was her birthday yesterday, so big shout out, birthday wishes to my mom and many, many more.
Beautiful. Big thanks to everyone for joining us tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Tomorrow, illegalcurve.com will have all the latest Winnipeg Jets news, audio, update on Josh Morrissey, if that's coming as well. So keep it locked onto the website. Keep it locked onto the YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be sure to tell your friends and family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and again on Saturday morning, is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Busy weekend ahead, remember. Friday night, Jets-Kings post-game show right around 9:30, 9:45. Saturday morning, Illegal Curve hockey show, 9 a.m. Saturday night, Illegal Curve post-game show right around 8:45 p.m. So keep it locked. Right now is the time more than ever to make sure you and everyone else that you know and you love is subscribed to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Big thanks to all the sponsors who make this show, the Saturday show, the website a possibility. Our friends at Play Now, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Chris Red in town at Rumors this weekend from Saturday Night Live. Tickets available, rumorscomedyclub.com. Holt Dental, City Place, Boston Pizza, and Seagram's support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thanks to Dave Manouk for joining me, even though I still can't see him.
That's amazing, by the way.
It is amazing. Whole show, just black screen, but nonetheless, Dave, you've never been better. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Friday night, we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.